All right, welcome to Tmux. So Tmux is one of the 4 keys in throwing your mouse away, and we're going to talk more about that. Have you ever wanted to do any of these things that I've written on the board? Some of which are become a wizard, have all your friends finally like you, and get rid of that pesky thing that's not a keyboard on your desk. If you want to, Tmux is a route to pursue. Tmux. Look at the simplicity. Look at just the juice. Okay, so with Tmux, or without Tmux, you probably have suffered some of these issues. There's too many mice. There's like 6 of them on my desk, and I can't keep count. And it's really unfortunate. I feel like raging against the several, whatever he's doing, I'm doing that. And if you're angry all the time, it's probably because you're not using Tmux. So something to look into. With Tmux, bliss. Anyway, so here are a few tools you should master if you want to become a keyboard warrior. Number 1 is get a good shell. You can use Fish, Zish, Bash if you're vanilla, I guess. But anyway, get good at that first, because then everything's kind of built on top of the same kind of logic. Then I would recommend learning Tmux, because around it, you put the efficiencies in little boxes. And then Vim for text editing, obviously. And then tiling window manager, like I'm doing here, because I'm super cool. Means you can use your keyboard for everything. No more clicking and dragging. So a thing here is like, don't disregard the cost of mouse keyboard switches. Like if you're doing something on your keyboard and then you have to like reach 3 miles over for your mouse and like click one thing, it's really like a lot of time because you do it so many times per minute. So be aware of it. Small things build up. So what actually is Tmux? It's a terminal multiplexer. You see its acronym. It makes sense, right? Basically, it lets you have many terminals in one. These are pseudo terminals, so each one spawns a P2I. You can interact with them, you can swap them, you can meld them, you can mush them, you can do whatever. And one of the super cool things that a lot of people use it for is you can just kill it, like disconnect, and your terminals are still running on the server side because it's a client that you connect to it. That also does a lot of other cool things, which we'll talk about later. What the heck? So Tmux terminology. Panes are the little terminal boxes. Windows are the panes they live in. The panes live in the windows. That's their house. That's their home. You can move around. You can up shovel them, do whatever. Attaching is when your client connects to the Tmux server. Detaching is when it says goodbye. And the prefix is the magic button or buttons you press when you want to do something in Tmux. So in our case, it's Control B by default. If you've used screen before, I think it's Control A. But I'm not a heathen, so Tmux only. So here's an example. That's the pane on the pane window. So you notice that this is just my Tmux styling, but the one on the left is highlighted like white because that means it's selected, and the other one you can't see is unhighlighted, dimmed maybe. So you can also call these tabs windows. I call them tabs, but they're actually called windows. All right, hop on over to the cyber realm. You can SSH to this thing right here, or if you have a Linux VM or BSD, it probably already has Tmux installed. But let me know if that doesn't work, because I'm connected to it right now, so it should. I'm going to do the thing where I tail the var log. Wow, new password from localhost. That's not right. So that's because I'm doing a tunnel. Okay, so assuming you guys have the creds for that, patch 1 bang, port 4020, randomly assigned port because, quote unquote random. Moving on. Tmux modes, question mark? You've seen Vim modes. You've seen modes on something else probably. This is another modal type of deal because when you have one button, it's easier to like use it once and have it do different things in different contexts rather than having like a billion different modifier keys. So that's kind of the energy behind that one. But this one's pretty easy because it's like in Vim, usually you want to edit text, you want to type things, and you're like, why is my key not pressing the key? But in here, you just want to use terminals, and you can use terminals. So it's kind of like more beginner-friendly almost. So here are the 4 modes you should be aware of. The first 2 are the only ones that really matter, but the other 2 are cool. Normal mode, you open it up. You're just chilling over here, and you're like, yep, I'm in Tmux. Success. Visual mode, command mode is when you type prefix, whatever button, and then colon, much like Vim, where you press colon in normal mode, and it gives you a command kind of prompt. You can type anything you want in there. It might or may not be a valid command. And then visual mode lets you scroll back up. In case you have thrown your mouse in the canyon, which you should, then this lets you scroll back up, copy text, etc., etc. And buffer mode, we'll talk about that later. Does stuff with buffers. So here's command mode in case you're wondering. I did Control B colon, Control B is my prefix, and then I can type things. Obviously, is not a valid command, so we'll say unknown command. But if I wanted to, like, I don't know, source my Tmux config, I could source it. There was nothing there, but it was a valid command. Wrong way. All right, so moving on. Here's an example of a GIF. So you can see copy mode is when I go back up into it, and then I can use Vim bindings to copy text and then paste it. Wizardry. And then, you can delete the user. So if you're like ever on a strict TTY and you can't like copy and paste and you don't want to retype everything, this is actually a really valid way to do that. So here I'll do it in real world. So let's say I wanted to remove a user or something. Let's say I hate the pollinate user. They're just so lame. I can press Control B and then the left square bracket, and then I can use Vim bindings like JK, and then be like Paul, and that can be like space to start selecting. Oh, I was on the wrong one. So I hit escape, so I kind of run that. So you see I'm using N and N to select back and forth between these two, just like Vim. And I can press space to start selecting, hit W for the word, that was too far. So I can, oh my God, what is happening? So I can just go like that, and then hit enter to select it, or copy to the buffer. And then, since now it's covering the prompt, I knew this would happen. Yeah, I can't do it. And then you can just paste it right here and then be like Control B, and then the other one is to paste whatever's on your clipboard. So I accidentally copied one character too far, probably because I learned about that feature today. But with practice, I'm sure it'd be very fluid. So this one's really helpful. Like, let's say like you did output of a command and you don't want to like retype it. Etsy password is the only file I know. Then you can just search for it. It's like, oh, there it is. Cool, rad. Buffers, histories. You can also make it super long really easily. Important copy mode bindings. These are things I just said, except now they're on the slide. Space to start selecting, enter to do the thing, and then you can use Vim bindings like capital V for line select mode, W for forward a word, and then question mark, search up, / search down. Yeah. All right, so buffer mode is pretty rad. Essentially, you have a bunch of buffers, which is things you copied before, and you can press Control B = to enter buffer mode, and it's like, whoa, all the things I've copied in the past 6 years are here. So they're numbered. Obviously, apparently it goes up to 1,000 or 9999. So I can delete buffer. That's an empty buffer. I can also use the Vim bindings to go up and down. That's great. So I want to delete P, and then what if I want to be like, yep, localhost. I copied that sometime apparently. I can hit enter, and then it'll paste it. So kind of rad, kind of poppin', if you ask me. So that was buffer mode. Again, you can just paste the most recent with just prefix, right, square bracket. And you can do a bunch of stuff with tagging, which I don't really see the use for, but apparently it was useful to someone because they put it in. But I can be like tag, and then you see these are both highlighted. And then I can do capital P to paste both tags. It made a string. Whether you can assemble those strings to be something useful is up to you. Here's a GIF I recorded of me doing the same thing. So let's say I wanted my sick high while loop, and then I was like, I don't like that anymore, and I want to use the same username for before, just make sure they didn't come back, because I hate that username. Yeah. So here are the modes you should be aware of when someone says Tmux. You should be like, yes, I know the 4 modes. There are actually like 5-ish kind of, but we don't care. Normal command, copy buffer. Any concerns or questions on like the modes, text manipulation stuff? Cool. Okay, welcome to Painland. This is probably more what you'll be using on like a day-to-day because you're going to start your new career of using Tmux exclusively today. Here are some cool things: the splits, the moves, the zooms, and the arrow keys. So here's my basic thing. I have one pane. Actually, I'm zoomed in. I lied to you. I have 2 panes, but we're going to pretend like that. So this star means this one's selected. This is the number of the window or tab. That's the little 0. And this is my session number. So apparently there are 4 other sessions on the system. Never mind. They were just dead. You guys are probably Cyberlord, right? Okay. Well, yeah, I'll do it. I'll investigate. You can, if you go to the user, then you can type Tmux ls and be like, here are the ones that are attached. So you can see there's one person on root and then 2 other people on Cyberlord. So that uses a socket in temp, which, if you ask me, is kind of rad. Password 1, bang. Security first, get keylogged. Tmux will spawn a new session. And now here, I can make more panes. If I want to split this way, like down the middle, I can do a prefix and then %sign. And then if I want to split this way, I can do prefix and then double quote. If you'll notice, this is kind of like the double quote is on like this axis of your keyboard, and then the % is kind of like on this axis of your keyboard. So it kind of splits your keyboard in the way that the panes go. Does that make sense to anyone? Look at your keyboard. Look at it. There's a % on the top middle, and there's a double quote on the right. So it's kind of like whoosh, if you just take it straight out. You know, it makes sense. Promise. Yeah. So that was a horizontal split, vertical split. I can just keep splitting. Look how efficient I am. It says too small. Okay. So if I want to make another Fibonacci sequence window, I can press Control B, C to make a new tab or window. And then if I have mouse mode, I can click them, but that's heathenry. So I'm going to do Control B, prefix, and then the number. Like that. Makes sense, maybe? So let's say I wanted to go back to my other one. So Control B, 0, and then I can do... What? Never mind. Okay. You can zoom with Control B, Z. So now this tiny boy is that tiny one, but I zoom in and then temporarily see the Z right here. It means that it's the full screen temporarily. So this is really useful for when you're doing like a script down here or something, and you have the output up here, and you'd be like, well, let me focus on the script for a second, and then Control B, Z again. That's a super handy certified Tmux trick. If you want to mark a pane, you can do Control B, M. I have no idea how that's useful. You can also right-click in mouse mode. Don't know. Yeah, so something I wish I knew about earlier is if you only have like 2 panes, which is really common, and you don't want to be like Control B, left arrow, my hand has to move 6 light years out to the arrow key from the home row, you can just do Control B semicolon, and it'll switch between the 2. This is kind of reminiscent of CD dash, where it goes like old path. Of course, there isn't an old path, but I go like, it kind of toggles between the last 2. If that makes sense. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, so if you want to resize a pane, which I don't know why you would, because nothing ever fails the first time, you can do, if you're in mouse mode, which is lame, you can drag it. So that's kind of cool, right? Or you can press hold prefix and then use the arrow keys. This is different than switching over to panes, because if I wanted to go from there to there or there to there, I'd have to press Control B, release, and then hit the arrow key. But resizes is when you hold it. Why do they keep adding me? So yeah, any questions on pain management? It's humorous. Okay, two other things. If you want to swap them, you can use these little curly boys. I don't know why you would. And if you want it to just like auto-generate a layout for you, you can press Control B space. It's like, yep, this is the most optimal layout for you. So that's kind of rad. Windows, more windows. So I already covered Control or prefix C, which is create a new window. If you want to rename it, you can do Control B, comma, or prefix comma. I did the number thing, and then a really cool thing is you can search between them. So let's say I want it to be like where I was running my sick loop of tail, and then I was like, oh, I'm lost. Where am I? Well, first I can. What was the other thing I said? Oh yeah. Well, I can alternate between 2 windows the same way. Like semicolon was between 2 panes. Prefix L is between the last 2 windows. Pretty rad, if you ask me. And then I can press Control B S, and it brings up this super rad menu where I can be like, here's all the sessions on the system, so I can see what you guys are doing. Who's typing who on 8? So yeah, that's my tunnel. And then someone else here is looking at auth-log. That was probably also me. So if you want to see for something, you can type / if you're in Bimbines, which apparently I'm not, or you can type Control S, not save, search, and then you can type like tail. That is not the word tail. And then it'll be like, here's your tail, and then it'll be like, what the heck? Terminal wizardry. And you hit enter, and I'm there. Pretty rad, right? If you guys didn't catch what I just did Control B, S, and then Control S, and then I search for whatever, and then you can just navigate all of them. Wow, that's a lot of bashes. You guys also have root on the system, so if you want to screw around, you can. And then you press Q to quit it. I don't know if I covered that, but usually it's Q or escape to get out of something. If you want to kill a pane, if it's being a bad boy, you can do Control or prefix ampersand for the whole window and prefix X for the pane. So really knowing Tmux is just a whole lot of binds, honestly. So I want to kill this tail, so I can be like Control B, X, and it'll be like, you want to kill the pane? I'm like, yes! Notice it said pane 4. If you don't know which one that is, you can press Control B, Q, which numbers them. How great is that? It's not very long. Have you ever wondered what time it was and you're in Tmux? Now you know what time it is. Control BT. Why even have a desktop environment? And here's a quick example of me just pressing all the buttons. So I already did that, so I don't think we need that. All right, so here's the rad, cool, zesty part. So it runs in a server, right? So if you'll notice when I went over here, to Control BD will detach, by the way. So if I Tmux ls, I see that these are all the homies. So this one is attached, and this is actually my tunnel out from the iLab. I can Tmux attach T0, and then be like, here's my tunnel out to the iLab. So I ran it in Tmux in case it died. I wouldn't have to restart the whole box because the T2I was unresponsive. Because right here, I can just like be like, boom. So if I kill this, it should theoretically bring down the whole tunnel, but I'm still alive because it's running in the background. Does that kind of make sense? Maybe? No? No out of 10. So let's do a quick Demarino. I'll spin up a new session. Does someone want to type this in their terminal? You're going to attach to my session. First, you got to exit your old Tmux session, or else it's going to be like, nested with care, type Tmux, whatever. So exit your session first, and then connect to mine. Did anyone do it? Oh, hello. Someone tried to type hi. So yeah, so we're sharing a terminal right now. I don't know who it is, but it's just some anonymous terminal sharing. So we're typing in the same thing. It's not like you have two cursors. You're just literally typing. So if we try to type a command at the same time, it'll be really unfortunate, right? Like I'm not typing anything right now. So that's pretty neat if you want to like spy on what people are doing, or if you want to like collaborate, or really, I don't know. It's just kind of rad. So if I disconnect from this, it's still running, presumably. I don't know what they're doing. Then I can Tmux A to reattach to my most recent one, and then, oh, that's my old one. I guess I lied to you. And then Nano is, oh, interesting. So we're going to have to ban whoever this is. So I just killed the session. Notice how it said detached, not exited. All right, it said exited, not detached, right? That was Control BD, or prefix D. And this was Control D, which sends a sig term. And since it was the only pane open, it killed the entire thing. So if I kill one pane, like normally, it'll just kill that pane. And then when all panes are dead, the whole thing dies. Configuration. So when I was making this presentation, I was like, what do I even know about Tmux? And I just opened the manual, and then I learned about buffer mode, copy mode, and like 4 new binds. So honestly, just read the manual. It's not that long, but I'm just basically trying to get you interested so you explore more on your own and like use it and learn the binds that I've shown you so you can learn harder binds. So a tmux.conf, ton of settings you can do. Like this is one of my favorites. I'll show you later. Here's my Tmux config. Pretty poppin'. I'm actually just going to copy it. I'm just going to copy it from the slides and like put it on the box. This is cyber right here. All right, so if I vi my tmux.conf, and then I already put that in there, but so I copied the pensive emoji just for good luck. And then when I launch Tmux, it should theoretically not work because reasons. I don't, who killed me? What the heck? That's uncool. God, wait, did the tunnel just die? Okay, well, in the field troubleshooting, we're gonna open this back up and see what happened. Yeah. Wait, so who exited the? Who sent a sig term to the tunnel? Crackheads. Okay, whatever. I'll type it again. Top secret password. Wait, what is? Okay, I just typed it wrong. I'm pulling actually the biggest prank on like myself. Yeah. All right, we're back in business. Okay. If that was one of you, I'll be sad. I won't investigate it because I'm too lazy. But so that was that. And then if I open a Tmux session and I'm like source tmux.conf, it'll be like aesthetic. You see the bar is gone. The bar was ugly. We killed it. And now it's just like little things. Dude, isn't that nice? Kind of aesthetic. And then I also set mouse on by default just in case that it comes crawling back from the canyon. And a few other. Oh yeah, so for competitions, this could be really useful because here's the cool tricks. What if you have like 4 panes open because you're the only Linux person on your team, obviously, and there's 12 boxes. What if you want to configure them all at once? Well, you're either going to be like a typing monkey and just like copy paste lines of the script, or you can type them all at once and then interactively see what's wrong with them. So here's a bunch of commands. I'm just going to do the easy version because I am once again lazy. If we do set synchronize, man, why is it blank? So synchronize panes, then notice when I type in all of them. So what if instead of being the same box, this was 3 different boxes? And then I could be like, okay, it's a password. Let's audit these users. Obviously, I'm not going to read them. Probably going to type a script in all of them at once. But it's still super cyber. And a good strat if you need to secure multiple images or even just one. Especially because if your connection dies, like mine just did for reasons, then you can reconnect and the session's still open. Right, kind of cool. If you want to do the thing I did over here, this basically says whenever you press Control X, it toggles the synchronized panes and then makes the one that is synchronized, makes the background a bit white. So you can see which one is synchronized at which time. And then there's also this, which gives your panes pane titles. So I'll show you a little bit what that looks like. Set G pane border status bottom. No, they don't. They can be ugly. Oh, they autocomplete. Go me. There you go. So now you see each of these has a little title. So you can set these if you want, like organization. You can be like box 1, box 2, box 3. So that's cool. So as you see, Tmux can do a lot. So if you're going to take one thing away from this presentation, it should be this slide, which I know is just 8 binds. But you should take these 8 binds away and tattoo them on your arm or whatever. And then you can use Tmux. If you want to learn some new binds, just press prefix question mark, and then you'll see a bunch of binds come up that are useful and self-explanatory. Any concerns, questions? Online people, you also are in the ceiling, so feel free to ask. What the heck? Is there a ghost? Okay, assuming that I explained everything perfectly. Hello?
You need some mouse traps up here. There's a lot of mice.
Yeah, there better not be. I'll find them. All right, so yeah, that was it. Thanks for coming. Yeet.